Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. Get ready because we are looking at some phenomenal source material today that literally shatters the traditional blueprint for how we're supposed to work. We're going to explore this wild idea that a single laptop, a simple email address, and an internet connection can completely rewrite your life overnight. And hey, this isn't about building a massive business empire or inheriting a trust fund. It's about a fundamental shift in how the modern world actually operates.
Okay, let's dive into this. What if one single email really could change everything for you? To understand just how massive this shift is, the source material introduces us to a completely normal guy. We're talking about someone with no rich parents to bail him out and no fancy Harvard degree hanging on the wall. Just an everyday guy who is struggling to stay afloat, drowning in bills, and stressed out of his mind. And yet, within a single year, the whole script flipped.
On one hand, you've got his old life. He's stuck in a dead-end retail job, physically and mentally drained, and completely broke despite grinding out 10-hour days. Now, transition to his new reality. He's working entirely from home, traveling whenever the mood strikes, and making more money in a single month than most people make in an entire year. That's the transformation we're unpacking today, bridging that massive gap between an exhausting past and absolute geographic and financial freedom.
So, to really appreciate this transformation, let's start at Chapter 1, the daily grind. Meet Jake. He's 24 years old, living in this tiny, cramped apartment, and just stuck in a completely hopeless cycle. Every single morning was basically Groundhog Day. He'd wake up, sit in miserable traffic, spend the whole day dealing with incredibly rude customers, and come home totally wiped out. And the absolute kicker, after putting in those grueling 10-hour shifts, he was constantly denied promotions and still couldn't even comfortably afford his rent. His bank account was practically hovering at zero, and his dreams were just fading. It's a harsh reality, but unfortunately, it's one so many people are stuck in right now. But then the turning point hit. One night, Jake's sitting on his bed feeling completely defeated after another denied promotion, scrolling on his phone, and he sees this exact title, How I Make $8,000 a Month Working Remotely. Now, the source notes his immediate reaction was just to laugh. He totally assumed it was a scam. I mean, most of us do when we see numbers like that online, right? But lucky for him, his curiosity kind of won out over his skepticism. He clicked the video. And that one tiny little decision, it set the wheels in motion.
Which leads us perfectly into our next phase, discovering the remote world. Inside that video, Jake had this massive light bulb moment. Regular people, not tech billionaires, just normal folks, were working from their laptops in coffee shops, in their apartments, on beaches. It absolutely blew his mind. Because, schools teach us how to work, but they almost never teach us where the future is going. And guys, the future is definitively remote. The source highlights this massive shift around 2020. Big companies realized they don't actually need these huge, expensive office buildings. They just need results, which means someone sitting at home in sweatpants can now legitimately compete with workers anywhere across the globe.
Jake got totally obsessed with this beginner's roadmap. Day one, he watches the video. For the next 2 weeks, instead of just zoning out and playing video games after his exhausting retail shifts, he spent his time soaking up free knowledge. He utilized completely free online platforms like Free Code Camp, audited courses on Coursera, and watched targeted YouTube tutorials every single night until 2 a.m. He's putting in the sweat equity. And then, bam, first client. 3 months later, he's up to $4,000 a month. This roadmap proves that the resources to change your life are literally already out there, completely free if you're just willing to put in the hours. And that brings us to a huge milestone in Jake's journey, the first real paycheck. Now, what's really interesting about this is $250 might not buy you a private jet, right? Jake earned this by editing some short videos for a small business. It might not sound like lottery money, but for Jake, this was the ultimate proof of concept. It fundamentally shifted his entire mindset. It proved that real money could actually come from the internet, based purely on a skill he learned, rather than clocking into a physical building every day. That $250, it lit an absolute fire inside of him. Because he had that proof, instead of quitting early when things got tough, like a lot of people do, Jake doubled down. But you might be wondering, without a massive resume, how did he actually get clients? Well, he built a standout portfolio using spec work. He did unsolicited redesigns and mock edits for brands, essentially proving his value up front before they even hired him. Just 3 months later, he hit $4,000 a month. Let that sink in. He matched and even exceeded his grueling retail income, but this time, working entirely from home. No soul-crushing commute and no screaming boss hovering over his shoulder. Now, let's zoom out to the macro reality of the job market and check out high-demand remote roles. The source material lays out this incredible list of opportunities that are available to beginners right now. We're talking about copywriters crafting persuasive ad campaigns, virtual assistants managing complex schedules for executives, and customer support agents solving user issues via live chat. Throw in video editors, AI content creators, sales reps. Companies are actively and urgently hiring for these exact positions. And the absolute best part? They are hiring based purely on your skill and your ability to deliver results. For a lot of these roles, a traditional college degree is completely unnecessary. If you've got the skill, you've got the job. But if this is starting to sound a little too good to be true, let's get into the truth about remote work. So the big myth out there is that remote jobs are just effortless magic or some shady get-rich-quick scheme. But the cold, hard reality is entirely different. Succeeding in this space takes real, tangible skills. It requires strict discipline because, hey, you are your own manager now. And crucially, you have to know how to avoid common online scams. The top strategies to protect yourself during the application process: never, ever pay an upfront fee for training. Always cross-reference the hiring manager on LinkedIn and make sure their email address perfectly matches the company's official domain. You have to be smart about it. This isn't a lottery ticket. You absolutely have to put in the work to build the life you want. So the crucial point is this: the internet changed the rules forever. If your laptop can generate revenue, your geographical limitations just vanish and your opportunities truly become unlimited. The people who recognize the shift, who put their heads down and adapt early, those are the ones who usually win big. It's all about leveraging the tools that are sitting right in front of you. As we bring this explainer toward a close, let's look at our final section: the ultimate takeaway. Because Jake put in those late nights learning a new skill, his reality completely shifted. He paid off his lingering debt. He finally moved out of that tiny, cramped apartment into a much better place. He was able to buy gifts for his parents for the very first time. He travels freely, and most importantly, he wakes up every single morning without that crushing weight of stress sitting on his chest. Because at the end of the day, what we're really chasing isn't just paper money, is it? We're chasing freedom. The freedom to spend time with our families and the freedom to finally live life on our own terms. And this brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of our source material today. Your income should not depend on your location anymore. This is the foundational truth of the new economy. Your worth is tied to the value you provide, not the zip code you happen to be standing at. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Your current situation does not dictate your future. The skill you choose to start learning today, right now, using entirely free resources online, could completely change your reality just 6 months from now. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: will you ignore the opportunity, or will you become the next success story? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.